Salam Sejahtera and welcome to another edition of Perception, where we discuss current issues that are daily topics of concerned discussion among multicultural Malaysians of all walks of life. Ladies and gentlemen, our topic of discussion today is Walk for Democracy. And with us in the studio today, we have with us Cik Latifah Koya, a representative of Lawyers for Liberty. Cik Latifah, on behalf of TV Pass, I thank you for taking time and being with us on this edition of Perception.
Thank you very much.
Cik Latifah, is the Walk for Democracy an illegal act in defiance of the law, or is it a basic right enshrined in the Constitution?
Okay. This walk that has been planned and organized by Bersih, which is a coalition of groups of NGOs demanding at least 8 demands for now to the Election Commission. It has been organized for a couple of months already, and it is a peaceful march. And under the Constitution, Article 10, it allows Malaysians the fundamental liberty, the fundamental right to walk peacefully. So it cannot be a case of an illegal act. There is nowhere under the legislation that says that such a walk can be defined as illegal. And this walk, we're talking about unarmed citizens who are going to make the demands clearly. The police have been given notification, everybody has been given notification as to what's going to happen, where it's going to be held, and it will be a peaceful march. And this is not the first time that's been done.
Cik Latifah, the UMNO BN government claims that we are on the road to be a developed nation by 2020. Should the governance mindset of an aspiring developed nation deny its citizens the rights as enshrined in the Constitution?
Now, first of all, this whole idea of 2020, Vision 2020, we do not prescribe to it. One, because it's just a mere slogan, and it was coined by the former Prime Minister, Mahathir. So we don't really prescribe it because it has never been followed. And why 2020? Why not now? But nevertheless, the issue is whether they should actually, deny that, whether they should change their mindset. Of course they should, but at the rate it's going, with the way the government is behaving, they're not ready for those change. They're not ready to give back those rights enshrined under the Constitution. They're not ready to actually allow the citizens to exercise their rights under the Constitution. And this can be seen over and over again by their over-enthusiastic behavior towards the citizens, especially in the context of Bersih. The last few weeks, you can see a massive harassment, fear tactics that is being conducted by BN and UMNO.
Cik Latifah, what is your understanding of the 8 key demands for electoral reforms by Bersih?
Okay, let me just read out to you what it is all about. All right. Now, one of the first demand is to have a clean electoral roll. What does that mean, a clean electoral roll? We have more than, many times we have by-elections, general elections, where there are serious complaints. We have evidence of the electoral roll not being clean. We have cases of people who are, we know for a fact, who have died but still remains in the electoral roll. Now, the recent obvious case is where the EC chair himself admits the electoral roll where the deputy president of Parti Keadilan Rakyat, Azmin Ali, has shown that in his mother's house, who lives alone in a Malay kampung, has got 11 names, unknown persons, Chinese and Malay, when the kampung is known to be a Malay area, and in his mother's own house. So that itself, they admitted that there is something wrong with that electoral roll. Now, that is just one example. And there are many of those examples. And we have cases of people who have died and we know that that person have voted. And this is what we call pengundi hantu, or people who are supposed to be actually dead but somehow they appeared.
The phantom voters.
Phantom voters. So this electoral roll is actually, it's full of flaws, and it's suspiciously designed to make certain quarters, in this case BN UMNO, to win in a larger fashion. So why not have all Malaysians who has got an IC to be to be basically eligible to vote? That would be the best. That means the Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara would have the list which shows that you are actually an eligible voter. That should be the case. That's the case in many countries.
What about the other demands?
Yes, the other demands is about having an indelible ink. Like I said, that what is the way to actually show whether the person has actually voted once or twice? A simple process would be an indelible ink. There is nothing complex about it. You don't have to do fancy technologies like biometric system and all that. You can just use the indelible ink. It's been used in huge democracies like Indonesia, Bangladesh and India to do that, and it's been very effective. And that helps us to avoid people from voting twice. And why would anybody reject that unless they plan to cheat? Right? And then the other one is about reforming the postal ballot. Again and again, the whole process of postal ballot is not transparent. And every time we hear that postal ballots are counted at the very end or informed to some candidates when they're actually announcing the winning, the postal ballots become strangely the deposit votes to show whether this person has won. Now, there are cases where not only police, military persons vote through postal ballots. The wives of police, the wives of military persons or family members are also being made to vote through postal ballot. What is the reason for? What we are saying is that if they are going to do postal ballot, it has to be in a transparent form. We have many cases where military personnel actually complained that they've never voted before. Somebody votes on their behalf. Why allow these suspicion to continue? Why not be transparent so that we can avoid this kind of accusation? So again, it doesn't help the Barisan Nasional government to continue this process, because it only creates more and more doubt that when they win, they won through cheating. That's what it is. And the other demand is a minimum of 21 days campaign period. Right now, we're going by 9 days campaign period. And worse still, we're one of the only other country to announce the election, to not know the election date until the government, Barisan Nasional, announces it. It is not fixed prior like many other countries who will know when exactly is the election in 5 years' time, in 3 years' time, like any developed nation. What we have is a situation where the government calls it when they like it, they call it in a snap way, and it's very unfair, because for the opposition who is, when they are deciding to run, they are not able to actually arrange for their volunteers, take leave, prepare themselves. This is not fair. So what is happening is that the government uses this date for their own benefit. It's only when they are ready they will call. And again, although this is not the specific demand of Bersih, but it is part of the fact that since you're doing that, why not have a longer period so that people would be able to actually have that enough time to campaign properly. And then we're also talking about free and fair access to media. You can see that very clearly. The opposition hardly get any space in the mainstream media. The media that belongs to the state is as if it belongs to UMNO, and that is heightened up during election campaign. They don't give open debates. They use their mainstream papers as a propaganda paper only for UMNO, unless there is some slurs, some negative stories about the other side, and there is no right of reply for the opposition candidates. So this is another issue that it shows how unfair the election process is. And again, this is where the EC, who's been given the power to manage the election, has failed to actually run the election in that manner. Free and fair access to media, it's something that is fundamental in an election campaign, and the EC has failed to do so. Strengthening public institution, it's another demand. What is public institution? We're talking about the SPR itself, we're talking about the MACC, which is the anti-corruption agency, and we're talking about the police. Why are these people involved? These are the bodies that has to be monitoring during the election campaign, because monies are paid, corruptions are made, voters are actually paid money to do votes, and they are threatened. So who comes into play? The agencies, anti-corruption agency is the agency to look into this investigation. We've got the Prime Minister who made promises which are clearly a bribe to the voters. If you help me, I will help you. You can say it in whatever manner, but when it's an election campaign, you say such a thing using the state funds to actually buy votes. That is wrong. The MACC, if it's truly independent, they would have actually taken action, but that has not been done. We're talking about the police. We have cases of violence, cases of blackmail, cases of threat. All these things are not being investigated, no action has been taken, and we know for a fact that usually when it's the opposition candidates or its campaigners wants to do supposing a speech or a rally, they were not allowed permits. Again, these are issues where all these agencies shows they're not independent. Not only independent, they make it worse by actually behaving in a manner as if they are an agent and tool for Barisan Nasional. So that's another issue, that another one of the demands. Then of course the other demands is to stop corruption and to stop dirty politics. What does that mean by stop corruption? You can't use state agency money during election to buy votes. This has been happening over and over again during almost every by-election. We see massive deployment of state agencies to give monies to the poor, to the voters, in order to get votes. And sometimes they are said that, look, I will only disperse this money if you choose Barisan Nasional. And this is totally wrong. But yet, it's being done. And the last one, of course, dirty politics. What do we see? We see campaigners or Barisan Nasional campaigners using all sorts of using personal attacks on the candidates, especially when it comes from the opposition, and using leaflets. For example, in Sarawak election, we had Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim's face cut and made into comics which are almost a pornography actually, and this has been going on and nothing has been done, no action has been taken. So again, these are dirty politics which we have been so used to, and it's about time we put a stop to it. So hence these are the demands of BERSE, and as members of as NGO, of course we would endorse it and be the very part of BERSE, but more so if you are a member of Pakatan Rakyat or a political party, you are a stakeholder to this whole process of having a free and fair election. You are the one who's going to lose. So all the more the Pakatan Rakyat, Parti Keadilan Rakyat, PAS, DAP, PSM, all these groups of political parties who's at the bad end of the current election campaign, the election SPR, who basically would want such a demand to be met, and they are in full support of BERSE, although they're technically not members of the committee.
Cik Latifah, we will take a short break now.
Sure.
To our respected audience, we trust you will be with us when we return shortly. Welcome back to Perception, where we are discussing the Walk for Democracy with Che Latifa Koya of Lawyers for Liberty. Che Latifa, the recent Sarawak state elections were inundated with widespread electoral irregularities. Such being the case, why is the UMNO-BN government in an acute state of denial in respect to addressing the desired electoral reforms?
Well, I think it speaks for itself. I mean, the more irregular an election process is, it seems to be of benefit to the Barisan Nasional government. So I don't see why they should want to change the status quo in that sense. As you can see, despite the fact that we have cases and cases and complaints of cheating, electoral rolls, voters missing, and many other issues, there was a gain of a larger support, an increase of support for Pakatan Rakyat, and this is a cause for concern for Barisan Nasional. And I think if there were actual electoral reforms, we are talking about, there's a possibility the whole Sarawak election would actually be a case of success for Pakatan Rakyat, or they could easily take over the state. So I guess that is precisely why Barisan Nasional would not want such electoral reforms.
Che Latifa, in your view, is the mindset of the Elections Commission that of an aspiring developed nation, or that of a basket case third world nation?
Well, the Election Commission chairman actually said yesterday that the whole Bersih rally is to overthrow the government. Now, what kind of an election commission, or what kind of an independent election commission could make such a statement when it is very clear and open what are the demands? And to actually say that the Bersih rally, it's all about overthrowing the government, is one of the most irresponsible statement made. And I would say that that is a mindset of an unindependent agency, and it definitely does not reflect a developed nation.
Che Latifa, the UMNO-BN government claims that Bersih is not neutral, as it is perceived as pro-Pakatan Rakyat. Yet the louder perception is that the Elections Commission is under the thumb of the UMNO-BN government. What is your perception on the matter?
Neutral is a very loaded word. As far as we are concerned, Bersih is an independent organization. It is definitely not a party or partisan coalition of organization. And they have clearly said that they are for pro-democracy and pro-reforms of the Election Commission. And of course, the people who are behind Bersih, the people who are supporting Bersih, includes Pakatan Rakyat party leaders and party members, because they are a stakeholder in the whole reform policy, the need for reform. To actually try to ask whether EC is actually an independent organization, is it under the thumb of UMNO and BN? Well, from the statements made so far, from the way they have been reacting and responding, it speaks for itself. The EC is definitely not independent, and it has shown again and again for failing to reform, for failing to actually commit for any form of cleaning of the rolls, apart from making wild allegations against Bersih or anyone for that matter who's seeking for a fairer and freer election.
Che Latifa, UMNO-BN claims that since Pakatan Rakyat won 5 states in the last general elections, there is no doubt that the election process in Malaysia is clean and fair. Yet the widespread irregularities witnessed at the Sarawak state election says a different story. Where is the justification of UMNO's reasoning?
Yeah, this seems to be the latest mantra by BN supporters or BN leaders who keep repeating that if it's not fair, why do we have 5 Pakatan Rakyat states? Well, as far as we are concerned, we have yet to be the government. Pakatan Rakyat have yet to be the government, and just because you won those states does not make the election free and fair. The popular vote also shows that there are more votes casted. The votes casted that shows the popular votes does not reflect the number of seats won by Pakatan. Again, we're talking about the issue of gerrymandering, about how places where more voters are there, there's only 1 seat. So your vote does not reflect, the percentage does not reflect, it doesn't correlate with the number of people there. For example, in Subang, we're talking about 90 over 1,000 voters. And what do we have? 1 representative. In another part of the state, you will have maybe 30-40,000 voters. Again, it's 1 representative. What does it mean? 90,000 voters, 40,000 voters, and in Sarawak, for example, even an area which has got 10,000 or 15,000 voters can actually elect 1 representative. Again, that means your vote doesn't have equal value. So, as far as we're concerned, free and fair election is more than just having 5 states. Who knows? If it was really free and fair, we could be probably having a Pakatan Rakyat federal government. So that's what we're demanding. And why did the EC withdraw the commitment to use the indelible ink after having announced in 2007? Again, this is one of the things that we are questioning, because after they announced that they will not use the indelible ink, they withdrew, they cancelled the idea. We had complaints and complaints of people who have voted more than once. We have complaints of people who are actually using dead person's name to vote.
Sheikh Latifah, the Minister of Home Affairs has given his word of honor that the police will conduct itself professionally in respect to the Walk for Democracy on July 9th. How do you consider the ongoing police threats, raids and arrests? Is this professional conduct? I'm not sure whether the Minister of Home Affairs actually had used to say that they will conduct themselves professionally, but nevertheless, if he had, clearly he does not mean what he said. And the police has so far behaved in such a manner where they have used their power to arrest people for offences that doesn't exist. They've created, the Minister of Home Affairs is a legally trained lawyer, and he has made the statement that wearing yellow, wearing Bersih t-shirt is an illegal act. That itself speaks for, basically that shows where he's coming from. How professional is that? And the recent arrest and remand of 7 days for the PSM supporters, including the MP Dr. Jayakumar Devaraj, for being held in remand for 7 days for purportedly waging war against the Agong. Again, where does that come from? There is no such offence where you hold t-shirts can be considered amounting to waging war. All these are abuses of process. All these are abuses of your authority. And the police have so far yet to conduct themselves professionally. We know that they are being under pressure, under instruction. They've set up operation centers in various IPDs to actually manage the arrest of people who are wearing t-shirts. Yesterday, the police actually arrested the MP for Gopeng, Dr. Lee Boon Chai, not for wearing Bersih t-shirt, but just for wearing a yellow t-shirt. Now, this is how far the ridiculous, the things that has got out of hand in the manner, the way they tried to stop the rally. Yet, Latifah, does not July 9th provide a perfect opportunity for the police force to prove to Malaysians as well as the world at large that they are a neutral, independent and professional body rather than a third world nation police force. What is your view of the matter?
Well, if the police had been truly independent, they would have been able to use that opportunity. But unfortunately, the police is not independent. And as long as the police is not independent, they will be completely under the instruction of Barisan Nasional. And what we can see, for example, yesterday 750,000 protesters walked in London to protest against the austerity budget cut that has been proposed by their government. 750,000 people, more than 500,000 people, walked in London. And what do we see? Police officers escorting these protesters in a peaceful manner. Cars are still being driven. There's smooth traffic. Why can't we do that? And they're seen good, despite the fact that they're protesting against their government for something which is you can say an embarrassment. The whole idea of protesting is to expose the government. Yet the government looks good, the police officers look good, and that's what we're talking about, a developed nation.
What would your advice be to the riot who is expected to turn out by the 100,000s at the Bersih rally?
All right. Lawyers for Liberty has been conducting workshops for public who are participating to let them know what are their rights, what can they do and what they cannot do in the context of a peaceful rally. Obviously, because it's a rally for Bersih, they have chosen the theme color of yellow. So to identify yourself as a participant of the rally, why don't you wear yellow? And then if you are stopped by a police, you can ask the person whether he's a police officer. If he asks for IC, you are to cooperate and give your IC, your names and your address. Now, apart from that, if they ask more than that, you have a right to ask whether you are being arrested. And if they say no and you can walk away, then you're free to go. You're not obliged to answer any more questions. But if they stop you, and despite saying you're not under arrest but you cannot go, it actually technically means you are under arrest. So you need to know your rights. And you are also you have a right to find out what investigation you're under, what is the offense that you are being investigated for, and you have a right to actually contact your lawyer or a family member. All these are enshrined under the Criminal Procedure Code as well as under the Federal Constitution. And furthermore, you have also a right not to answer any questions which could lead to incriminate you, or if it could expose you to a penalty of forfeiture. In other words, now, if they are investigating you for an unlawful assembly, and the mere presence of you being in a rally can open you up to a possible charge for Section 27(5) of the Police Act, you have a right to remain silent. So exercise these rights, and we'll be issuing more and more information out there.
Cik Latifah, on behalf of TV Pass, I sincerely thank you for being with us on this edition of Perception. Until we meet again next week, I wish all Malaysians Hidup Rakyat, Hidup Pakatan Rakyat.